Hi everyone, I'm Wilson, and today I'm going to explain gain staging in music production. Have you ever wondered why your recordings don't sound quite right? Or why your mixes are constantly clipping? One key factor that can make a big difference is proper gain staging. In this video, I'm going to show you what gain staging is, why you need it, and show some examples that'll help you achieve a more professional sound. First things first, what is gain staging anyway? Gain staging refers to the process of setting the audio levels at different stages of the recording and mixing chain to optimize their quality. In other words, during each step of the process, you want to make sure that your recording, mixing, and mastering isn't too loud or too soft, because it could cause problems either way. The three main places you're going to want to check your gain staging are right at the beginning, during your mix, and then during your final master. Right when your tracks are coming in, whether you're the one recording them or maybe you're mixing live, or even you're setting up for a studio mix with someone else's files, make sure that the audio level is between -18 decibels and -12 decibels. It's okay if you go above that range, but generally you're going to want your peaks right at -12 decibels. There's a few places you can check for that depending on what situation you're in. If you're recording, sometimes your interface has like a gain meter or some way to show you how loud it is coming in. Either that or you can monitor in the DAW you're recording with. So I use Logic all the time, and you can see within Logic when you record arm where it's coming in. So I aim to have my peaks around -12, but keep the audio generally between -12 and -18. Same thing goes if you're doing live sound like front of house. You almost always have an input meter where you can adjust the gain until it's hitting just right. The biggest challenge comes when you're receiving tracks from someone else, because they don't always record it with proper gain staging. So in that situation, I like to adjust the individual clip gains. You can do that in Logic by going to this region dropdown right here and going to gain and adjusting it right there. I make small adjustments there until all my tracks are hitting at -12, so even though they weren't necessarily recorded with proper gain staging, at least from this point moving forward, it'll be as correct as it can be. The next place to check is during the mixing stage. Make sure your processing isn't adding or taking away any gain from your tracks. So if you're compressing or EQing and taking out or adding a lot of signal, make sure you adjust that with the makeup gain. Also, make sure your mix bus is landing between -12 and -6 dB. This is going to preserve headroom and keep your mix from clipping. If you have any subgroups or submixes like a drum bus, that kind of thing, make sure those are peaking around -12. Because once you add those up across a whole mix of submixes, if they're too loud, you're going to have a hard time getting your master to be within that -12 to -6 range. The third and final spot to check is during mastering. Part of the goal of mastering is to push the level of the song up as loud as other songs in the market. In other words, right up until it's clipping, but not quite clipping. In terms of decibels, that's going to be between -1 and -0.1. This keeps the final master from clipping while still allowing a little bit of room for dynamics within your song. Make sure to use a limiter to prevent your mix from clipping. You're going to want to set the output ceiling to -0.1, and then you can turn up the gain until it's as loud as you want. So, hopefully that all makes sense, but why is it so important? Well, gain staging is crucial for a few reasons. First, gain staging is important because it helps to prevent distortion and clipping. Distortion can occur when an audio signal is too loud and exceeds the maximum level that a certain system can handle. So that system could be the input of your interface, it could be the output of your speakers, your mix bus, it could be what your front of house is sending to all the speakers, all the mains. Any system that your audio is going to have a maximum level. And if you exceed that, you're going to get that nasty clipping distortion sound. Proper gain staging helps to avoid this issue by keeping audio levels within a safe range. The second reason it's important is because it helps to achieve a clean, professional sound. If the audio levels are too low, it can result in a weak and muddy mix where the details get lost in the noise floor. Noise floor is essentially noise that occurs when your mic signal is too loud, whether that's bouncing off the walls in your room, buzz, hum, any sort of hiss that the mic generates when it's being driven too hard. And if you're recording at proper levels, you're more likely to avoid this. Noise floor is also related to something called signal to noise ratio, which if you think of your signal as my voice coming through the mic, and any noise would be the mic hissing, the reverberations of the room, that's noise. So if you ever hear signal to noise ratio mentioned, it's talking about the signal versus the noise that the mic and the surroundings are creating. Proper gain staging allows you to optimize the signal to noise ratio and ensure that your mix sounds clean and polished. The first example of gain staging I'm going to show you is recording. So you can see right now I'm talking into my vocal mic and I'm having peaks around -12. Sometimes the peaks go a little above -12, and that's okay because we want that headroom in case there's any sudden peaks and I get louder. See, even if I yell and get loud, it's not clipping. So by having most of our peaks around -12, we have this built-in headroom in case our talent or whatever we're recording suddenly gets louder. If you record hotter than that and they suddenly have a spike in volume, it's more likely to clip. Another great example is during this mix. Each section of the mix is hitting around -12. So I have a drum bus here that's hitting -12. My guitars and vocals are also going to subgroups that are hitting -12. And then I'm making sure my main output is hitting between -12 and -6. That way I have a few dB of headroom before I go to mastering, so that way any processing that needs to happen in mastering has the headroom to do so. My final example is this mastering session I have here. You can see that all my files in the mastering session are not clipping, but they're hitting between -1 dB and -0.1 dB. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or need any further clarification, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you'd like to learn more about audio basics, I have a playlist over here you can check out. Thanks so much for watching, and please make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.